Hey, thanks for joining my channel. Today we're going to be doing some Bible study with getting ready with makeup stuff. Hopefully I can do two things at the same time. We can talk about God and also look beautiful at the same time. Let's see how that goes. But yeah, we're going to be talking about hearing voices. Hearing voices, yes, maybe you hear voices and you totally hate it. You don't understand what's going on in your world. You don't understand. It's starting to make you feel a bit crazy and out of sync with the world, and could possibly be affecting your life, as in you can't get a job with it and things like that. First of all, I just want to tell you that hearing voices is not a disability. As I continued to do my research on hearing voices, when I started to hear voices and I realized that I didn't really like it as much, I saw so many negative comments on some blog posts about the gift of discerning spirit and hearing voices, and I didn't understand how many would associate this gift with the curse, that they would question God why they're made that way. I didn't really understand that, how people could come up with those conclusions, until I started to really struggle with it personally in my life, where I couldn't really work. There's certain jobs I couldn't do, there's certain degrees I couldn't, there's certain career I couldn't pursue. There's certain things I couldn't do. There's so much restrictions on what I could do with hearing voices, and the reason is because every time I do get a job and I start working, the voices gets really intense. They get really condemning, and it's just really hard to work with hearing voices and working with other people, because you're always in the spiritual realm, and it's not your fault that you're always in the spiritual realm. It's just that's the way you're built, that's the way you're created. Now, I shared a video on my channel about the anatomy of a light, our anatomy, our spiritual anatomy, and how God has created us as a light in the middle of darkness. If you really want to watch that video before this, that would be great, so you can have a much more in-depth knowledge on what I'll be talking about. Now, of course, I'll be backing up what I'll be teaching you today, or what I'll be discussing with you today, with biblical facts. And if you do have any questions, I'm not claiming to know everything. If I do know the answer, yes, definitely I'll give it, and if I don't, we can both pray about it. Hopefully God will give us an answer. So hearing voices, like I said, is not a disability. It is not a disability. Although I'm out of work right now, I can file for unemployment because I don't want to see this as a disability or a way to just, to just say to God, hey, you know what? You're the potter, I'm the clay. I don't like the way you've molded me. And I know a lot of people actually are struggling with this. That's why I really want to share this with you. Let's go to the book of, if you have a Bible or you have an app, we can go to the book of 1 Samuel chapter 3. We're going to read a little bit about Samuel's call, and I'm going to just explain a few things about why we hear voices. Verse 1 says, the boy Samuel served the Lord in Eli's presence. In those days, the word of the Lord was rare, and prophetic visions were not widespread. So let's just back up a little bit. Samuel was a child that was given to a mother at a very old age. Samuel was the son of Anna, and Anna had a vow with God that if God would give him a son, if God would give her a son, she would dedicate the son to the Lord, to the house of the Lord, and this son could serve the Lord forever. And that was what happened to Samuel. Even though Samuel had parents, he didn't really live with his parents. He lived with the priest. He lived in the church. So the priest would see to what he was doing, and he would train him on how to serve in the temple. So again, the first verse, the boy Samuel served the Lord in Eli's presence. In those days, the word of the Lord was rare, and prophetic visions were not widespread. One day, Eli, whose eyesight was failing, was lying in his room before the lamp of God had gone out. Samuel was lying down in the tabernacle, which today we call temple or church of the Lord, where the ark of the Lord God was located. Then the Lord called Samuel. He answered, "Here I am." He ran to Eli and said, "Here I am, you called me." Now Eli replied to Samuel and says, "I didn't call you, go back and lie down." So he went down and lay down. Once again, the Lord called Samuel, and Samuel got up and he went to Eli and said, "Here I am, you called me." And then Eli said, "I didn't call you, my son. Go back and lie down." Now Samuel had not yet experienced the Lord because the word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. I'm just going to stop right there, and I'm just going to say something real quick. Although Samuel served in the temple, he served in the church, he had a role in the church. It was probably an usher or a choir member. I'm not sure what he was doing. It doesn't really specify, but it was serving roles in the church because he had been given to the church as a gift. Even though it was in the church serving God, he had never experienced God before. So he probably didn't have a relationship with God. He probably didn't really study the word to even know about the word of God. Like so many of us are placed in our family system, we don't know who we are in God. We don't understand our spiritual identity. We don't study the word. Some of us might even go to church on a regular basis, the weekly service, the Sunday services, but yet don't have a relationship with God. And that was what was going on in Samuel's case right here. He was a servant in the church. He was dedicated to the Lord, but he didn't have a relationship with God to understand what it feels like to experience God spiritually. Verse 8 says, "Once again, for the third time, the Lord called Samuel. He got up, went to Eli, and said, 'Here I am, you called me.' Then Eli understood that the Lord was calling the boy. He told Samuel, 'Hey, go and lie down. And if he calls you again, say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening."' Eli was a bit more matured. He knew about the spiritual things, and that was why they made him the priest. So of course he didn't get it at first, like that's what is really going on with this boy, that he keeps coming to him and he's saying, "Oh, but you called me now. Why are you saying you didn't call me? I keep hearing you calling me." Samuel was hearing Eli's voice, and that was why he thought Eli was calling him. But Eli figured it out later on that, this young boy must be hearing from the Lord. He didn't want to believe it because those times visions were really rare. Prophetic visions were really rare, and God didn't really reveal himself to people, especially a small boy like Samuel. It was kind of like, this wouldn't happen. So it took Eli a bit of time to realize that, oh my God, this is what's going on. And he told him what to do. When the Lord calls you again, just say, "Speak, Lord." So the Lord came and stood there and called Samuel as he has been calling him before, and said, "Samuel, Samuel." See, he was calling Samuel by his name. That's the amazing thing, that even though Samuel didn't even have a relationship with God, God knew him by his name. God knows us by our name, even if we don't have a relationship with him. And he has predestined us for a purpose, and according to his plan, he will still call us by his name. When he wants us, when he's ready to use us for his will, he will call us and address us by our names. So Samuel responded, "Speak, for your servant is listening." Verse 11, the Lord said to Samuel, "I am about to do something in Israel that everyone who hears about it will shudder." So let me just stop there. Samuel just got a message from God. God could have talked to Eli because the message was about Eli, but he didn't want to talk to Eli. He wanted to talk to God. He wanted to talk to Samuel, that had been living with Eli, that had not experienced God before. Samuel, a young boy, was very scared to deliver this message, this prophetic message, to Eli. And Eli was like, if you don't tell me what's up, boy, you know what I'm going to do to you. And of course, even though the message was about Eli's destruction, Samuel still had to obey the Lord, and he had to deliver that message. We'll get a little bit about prophetic message and how to deliver it without getting assassinated in our day-to-day. People really don't want to hear the truth, but the truth has to be spoken and it has to be said. no matter how big it is. But today we're talking about hearing voices, and we're going to just focus on a little bit of some of what Samuel actually was going through at that point. He was a bit confused. It could have felt a bit crazy that we would hear Eli's voice, but Eli would deny hearing him. Now that's what happens in the real world when you have the ability to be able to hear, and you don't really understand what's going on. Maybe it's your first time that you're actually audibly, it becomes really apparent to you that, hey, what's going on? There's something really strange going on in my life, and I don't know how to talk about it. You know, you see people actually talk to you. Their mouths are moving. They're making body languages. They're talking to you. And then when you ask them about the same thing that they just said to you, they're like, no, I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. And you feel so crazy. You feel so crazy every time. Every time that happens. There's so many times at work, people would come to me, like about 3 of them and 4 of them, they will come and harass me, and they will ask me questions that would make me feel like, oh my gosh, I'm such a terrible worker. But at the later time, when I would talk to the supervisors, that I don't like how they keep coming to me and they're harassing me, you know, I don't like how they're doing that, you know. And when I'm talking to them, they point blank will genuinely and sincerely tell me that, no, I didn't say that. I didn't tell you that. I didn't say anything. Now I really started to feel really, really crazy that, but you did this, but you put that there, but you did that. I saw you do that. So I'm just wondering, why would God want to set you up to fail? Why would God want to do that? It's not a kind of God like that. So what I'm really trying to say is, there's so many voices that we hear. We hear 3 voices. Yes, we hear 3 voices. One is from demonic influences. People don't believe in demons. Yes, you may not be able to see them, but in the spiritual realm, they're very, very active, and they're working. You can hear them in the spiritual realm, and those ones are the ones working for the devil. Then you have God's voice. And then you have the person that is talking to you. So God used Eli as a vessel. God is a spirit being, and he always usually needs some type of human body to communicate to us sometimes. So he would use someone's spirit to talk to us. So when that person speaks to us, because we're spiritual beings, we can hear that person's voice. Because even though we can hear that person's voice and it appears as though that person is talking, God is actually the one talking through that person as a vessel. But at the moment that they're talking to you, they won't even understand what's going on. That's the crazy thing. Yes, you hear the talk, but the person that is actually doing the talking may not even be conscious enough to understand what's going on, that God is using them to speak to you. God can use anybody. God can use anybody. There's a part or a story in the Bible where God actually used a horse to deliver a message to a prophet. So even if we humans decide not to be a vessel to be used for God, God can use anything to talk to his people. But the thing is, when you're not familiar with the voices that you're hearing and the things that are going on in your spiritual realm, especially if you don't have a relationship with God, it can be very, very difficult, and it can be very, very challenging if you don't understand who you are spiritually and the roles that you're supposed to be serving in the body of Christ. It did take me a little bit of time to be able to understand God's voice. You know, the devil, because you don't understand how the devil works, the devil would mimic God's words, and he would even sometimes quote Bible scriptures to pretend as though he is God. So you will be familiar with his voice more than you are familiar with God. And I in my case associated the devil's voice as God's voice, and that was where the confusion started. The confusion and it just became really, really, really serious after that. But how I have been able to discern God's voice right now is the intensity of the voices. God's voice is a bit softer. It's softer, it's much carried. Sometimes it's even sad. Sometimes it feels like he's crying. Like, why are you doing that? Like, you could do better. It's so carried. It's like so motherly. He cares a lot. You can sense it in his voice, how he cares. But then the devil's voice is condemning. It reminds you of your past. It reminds you of how you never be able to make any amount to anything. It will tell you that you're a damaged product. It will tell you all those big lies, that God would never want to have any relationship with you, that God would never want you. And if you don't understand what's going on, you actually believe that voice. And God is just right there, just really sad, hoping that maybe you just understand what's going on, that he's not the one talking, that someone is disguising, an angel of darkness or a demonic spirit is disguising as God's voice. So you're very confused as to what's going on. And that's why a lot of us actually get really frustrated. Like, you can see someone moving, you can see the body part moving, you can see their mouth moving, they're talking, but they're not speaking to you. They're not, they deny saying those things that you're hearing from them. So a lot of us do have difficulties in that area. And what I really want to just assure you, the Lord has been encouraging me lately about this, because I was like, I can't really work, and I really do want to work. I'm not a lazy person, and I know I have to pursue a different career. I know what part I'm going, but I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't have enough money to even start, but I'm going to be trusting you to even help me. But right now, it's been encouraging me so much, because I'm like, I don't want to see this as a curse. I don't want to see it as a disability, because it can be used to glory of God if you understand how it works. The book of... Alright. In the book of James chapter 19, James was giving us advice about hearing, and not only hearing the word of the Lord, but also doing the word of the Lord. And he gave us an advice that I really keep in mind every time I'm going out or I'm making encounters with people, and it just normally happens. Verse 19 says, "My dearly loved brothers, understand this. Everyone must be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. For man's anger does not accomplish God's righteousness. Be quick to listen," which means that you can hear a whole lot of things at once. So many things going on. There's so many things that you can hear at once. But then those things can also cause you so much anger if you don't understand who is speaking, or the voice that is speaking to you, that it's not the person that is speaking, but it's some type of demonic influence that is trying to piss you off, so you don't get to where God is trying to take you. And then it also says to be slow to speak. So when you hear what you're hearing, be slow to speak. Don't just respond back, because when you're responding without someone speaking to you in the physical world, the person that is looking at you is like, why are you talking? I'm not talking to you. You get what I'm saying? But you can still hear this person's spirit talking to you. So be slow to speak, so you don't look crazy to everybody. They're like, why are you talking to yourself? Why are you talking to yourself? And be slow to anger, because a lot of these things are not really usual in the world. They're very rare in the world, especially if for people to talk to themselves and they're just like, oh, speak Lord, especially when you're in the church system, it gets so sensitive. The church system is like a marketplace. I didn't know that, but later on I was like, oh my gosh, so much going on here. It's a marketplace that you could really lose it if you don't understand what's going on in the spiritual realm, and if you don't understand your role in the body of Christ. But usually what people do to help me out when I go to the church is they tap me on the shoulder. So when somebody taps you on the shoulder, they're trying to tell you to be slow to respond, because you're starting to drift a little bit, and you're becoming really sensitive to the realm. So because everybody else around doesn't understand what's going on, you're going to look really crazy. They're going to probably call the cops on you. Maybe not, but those that actually understand how it works, they will tap you on the shoulder, and that's supposed to remind you to stop talking or to stop reacting to somebody else's what you're hearing in the spiritual realm from another person. The slow to anger part, I'll tell you what, it's not easy, because it's not easy for someone to actually, what you're hearing, especially from the devil's side. The devil will tell you all kinds of stuff, insults. Oh my God, the devil will call you a jerk. The devil will tell with all kinds of insults, and you feel like, oh my God, why is this person calling me a jack? Why is this person calling me stupid? Why is this person telling me that, I'm a slut or something like that? Like, you hear a lot of things. It could even, oh, yeah. I'm not even going to talk about that, but I went to one job interview and it was so terrible. I don't even know why she even gave me the job, honestly, because what I was hearing from the interviewer was so totally different and was so totally offensive. Like, oh, we would not want to hire a murderer or something like that. Like, oh, you look like a murderer, we would never want to hire you. And I was like, oh my God. I was like super scared. Like, oh my God, why is this happening to me? And I talked back and I was like, who are you calling a murderer? I'm not a murderer. I'm not a murderer. Because you have to be slow to anger. So as you continue to build your relationship with God, you understand that it's not the person that is talking to you, it's the spirit of that person that could possibly be talking to you. And God could, even the same person, God could also use the same person to talk to you. That's the crazy thing. God can use anybody to talk to us. But we have to be able to understand which one is which, so we don't drift into insanity. We don't drift into insanity. Another assurance that God gave me, which I will be sharing with you, is in the book of 2 Timothy chapter 9. It says that He has saved us, and not only has He saved us, He has called us, just like He did call Samuel, with a holy calling, not according to our works, not because we're so perfect, not perfect at all, but according to His own purpose and grace, which was given to us in Christ Jesus before time began. So everything that we're doing right now, everything that you are right now, is according to God's purpose. You're created according to His purpose. And all of this has happened because of before the time began, before you were even born, before Christ even came to the world. He already knew what you're going to be doing when you come to planet Earth. So He already has everything deposited in your system. So it doesn't matter whether you go to church or whether you have a relationship with God. God can call you because it's according to His purpose. And when He's ready to use you, He's ready to use you. See, someone has been in the temple all this while. He's been in the church serving all this while. And the first time he ever experienced God calling him was at an older age. And the boy was shocked, like, what's going on? What's going on? So that's the same reaction sometimes we get, like, oh my gosh, what just happened? I remember when I gave my life to God, I went to a conference and I submitted myself to God, and I just cried out my heart because I was so broken. And I was like, God, I need you. I don't know where you are. I don't know where you are, but I really need you because I'm so hurt and I need you to fix me. I'm tired of pretending. I need you to fix me. And this was what I thought, honestly. I thought, like, oh, within a week, God will give me a new heart and I'll be totally healed. That's what people say. God heals their broken heart. God is close to the brokenhearted. And in about a week,